Hi, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
And this is Northwest Brew Talk. Welcome to Northwest Brew Talk, episode 50. Each and every week we promote the Washington brewing industry by talking to those people involved and drinking Washington beer. With over 300 breweries, we try to highlight as many as possible every single episode. If you're new to the show, we suggest that you check out our back catalog with some great interviews and lots of Washington beer. This week, we're celebrating our first anniversary and our 50th episode. So we have a collaboration of interviews from the past year, our brew news and views, and local music from Whiskey Fever.
If you have any comments or questions, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at nwbrewtalk and on Facebook at facebook.com/nwbrewtalk. If you like the show and want to support us, why not become a patron? With a donation, we offer everything from guest hosting the show to a copy of our upcoming book, Washington Beer. Head over to nwbrewtalk.podbean.com for more details. To start the show, let's open our first beer.
All right, and these are two special beers that we picked tonight for our first anniversary show here. Both of them, we've never done these companies, and they're special beers. Urban Family Brewing Company, De La Brette.
Urban Family Brewing is located in the Magnolia neighborhood of Seattle. They opened in January of 2012, and you can try their beers in their taproom Thursday through Sunday or at select restaurants and bottle shops. De La Brette is dry hopped pale ale brewed with Brettanomyces. The style is pale, wild, ABV 5.75%, and untapped rating of 3.74. Very light color.
Yeah, very light color, and very light flavor,
Strong aroma, though.
Yeah, but very light flavored, and very dry.
Wow, yes, definitely dry.
Very dry, and yeah, definitely has a different flavor.
Yeah, it does. And that wild that they use, I would definitely use that to describe it. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, not quite as potent as a wine, but almost that same kind of texture.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Yeah, they're doing some different things at Urban Family, and we wanted to get them in as one of our beers, and found one and decided we'd give them a shot.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. All right, awesome. First beer in our 50th show. Now, on to our brew news.
Topping this week's news on Friday, January 15th, Charles and Roseanne Finkel were in attendance at the 2016 Good Food Awards in San Francisco to accept an award for Pike Wood-Aged Kilt Lifter. This beer is a limited release beer, and the 2015 version was aged in Westland whiskey barrels. Strange Brewfest 12 will take place January 29th through 30th in Port Townsend. This is the festival where many brewers let their hair down and create some interesting concoctions. There will be 35 breweries and over 70 different beers to sample. Tickets are $30 for both days, so book your room now so you can enjoy the fun. On Friday, January 29th, Foggy Noggin in Bothell will be hosting a tasting of 8 different English bitter, best bitter, special bitter, and extra special bitters. This will be a special journey learning about these styles and tasting the subtle differences they all have. Only 20 spots available, $25 per person, 21 and over. On Saturday, January 23rd, Elliott Bay Brewing in Seattle has their annual Ode to Darkness Imperial Stout vertical tasting event at the new Back Bar in Lake City.
The annual Pike Choco Fest will be held on Sunday, January 31st from 6 to 9 p.m. This is an adults-only event, and it's a romantic food and drink lover's delight featuring over 65 of the area's premier breweries, wineries, distilleries, restaurants, cheesemakers, bakers, and chocolatiers. They're going to fill the Pike Brewing Company and entice you with delicious bites and tastes. Sample rare cask beers, many featuring chocolate from the Puget Sound's top brewers. Best of all, Pike Choco Fest benefits Puget Soundkeeper, who is protecting and preserving the waters of Puget Sound. River City Brewing in Spokane had a great 2015, and they'll be celebrating their third anniversary on Saturday, January 30th from 3 to 10 p.m. with some special beers, live music, and food from a couple of chefs, catering, and street cuisine truck. This is an all-ages event and will include 12 different beers on tap, including 4 2014 vintages.
Aslan Brewing Company became a certified B Corporation in January 2016. In a nutshell, a B Corp inspires businesses to compete not only to be the best in the world, but to be the best for the world. Unlike traditional corporations, B Corps are legally required to consider the impact of their decisions not only on their shareholders, but also on their stakeholders, including workers, suppliers, community, consumers, and the environment. The Belgian Fest, sponsored by Washington Beer, is back on January 30th. The event will be held at Seattle Center Fisher Pavilion. There will be over 90 Belgian-style beers crafted by Washington breweries available. Featured beer styles include triples, doubles, saisons, wits, abbeys, and lambics. In keeping with this unique style, all of the beers are brewed with Belgian yeast. Tickets for the 21 and over event are $35.
The third annual Hop Mob Roadshow will kick off at Browers Cafe on Thursday, February 4th. The term Hop Mob refers to a robust collection of triple IPAs. These super hoppy beers typically weigh in at more than 10% ABV. The roadshow takes place over 10 days, and as of now, there are 35 participating breweries. For more info on the Hop Mob Roadshow, go to the website wahopmob.com. Also, Browers Cafe will have its 14th annual Hard Liver Barley Wine Festival on Saturday, February 27th. This is a celebration of this amazing style of beer with over 50 barley wine and old ales on draft starting at 11 a.m. There is usually a line for this much-anticipated event, so get there early. And that is it for the 50th episode of Brew News This Week.
Welcome back to Northwest Brew Talk. If you want to submit news to Northwest Brew Talk, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. Or if you've not yet subscribed to our podcast, why not do it now? It's free, available anywhere you listen to podcasts, including iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. If you like us, a review or rating would be really appreciated. But make sure to tell your friends about Northwest Brew Talk.
All right, yes, tell your friends. We've made it through 50 episodes, 1 year. Woo-hoo! And all kinds of ups and downs throughout the year. We've got a few things we wanted to mention that we had kind of compiled a little list here of some things, some of the highlights. One of them was we took a trip to Yakima.
That was a fun trip.
Yeah, we went to the American Hop Museum, which was a pretty cool place.
Very cool. And got to see all those hop farms, too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. And while we were out there, we drove past a bunch of breweries, too.
Yep.
We got a bunch of interviews while we were out there. And that was a cool trip. The Brewers Festival on Father's Day weekend.
That was fun.
Yeah, that is...
Busy, but fun.
Busy? Yeah, because I got about a half dozen interviews. But we tried a ton of beers, too.
Yeah.
And it's a very cool festival. Probably the one that we like the most because it's family-friendly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's when you got little kids, you got to consider what you can do. And that was definitely one of the ones that we really enjoyed. One of the ones that we could go to, too. We could both go to. I think one of the other highlights was our first interviews in Bellingham. That's where we started out because it's closest to where we're located. And we got a bunch of interviews that some of them were really great from one of them from Aslan, which was a young company at the time.
Yeah.
And
now has become a busy place.
Busy place and expanding place. They've grown quite a bit. Now some of the things that weren't the best things, lowlights, I guess you could call them. We've had multiple computer failures, especially the one right after we had recorded our 8th episode. The computer fried, and we lost that, and a bunch of interviews, including a few that we hadn't used yet. Luckily, most of the companies were really kind and redid the interviews for us.
Yeah,
that was nice. The other bad thing about the computer crashing was we lost the original masters, but recently we lost some more, so I guess it doesn't really matter. As long as we have the final episodes, along with pretty much we usually include the entire interview, so that we always have those. So that was a pretty good thing. Now, this year, we've got a few new things that we're going to be doing. we are going to be having some new theme music coming up in the near future here. Where a friend of mine on the East Coast is working on that. Instead of just doing a different beers every week, we're going to do like once a month only. We're going to do like IPAs one week. We'll do stouts one week, and and pale ales and all the different types, and we'll spread that out throughout the year and just do that once a month. And then the other weeks we'll do our various different ones. So that's one of the other changes that we're going to do. But this has been a great first year. We appreciate everybody that's listened to the show and told other people about it. We especially appreciate all the breweries that have been kind enough to talk to us and let us in and see their operations and stuff.
Special shout out to Michael Hennigs, who listens to every single episode.
He does. He listens to them all. He's one of our fans that we definitely know about. So, but yeah, thank you to him and to everybody else. And now, what we're going to do is a special compilation interview segment. And instead of doing just one interview this week, we thought that we'd do some different clips from different people throughout the year. And the first one we have is from Doomsday. They're out of Vancouver. So
it was really cool. We went up to Redmond for the Washington Brewers Fest. There was almost all the breweries were up there, and a lot of the owners and brewers too. So you could really talk to them, and we learned a lot and got to share with some of the newer guys some of our opening experiences and all that. So it's really just kind of a good community to be in. Almost like a brotherhood, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
It's cool.
It is, and it is very, for the most part, it seems pretty welcoming, considering everybody's a competitor. They all seem to share and help each other out, too.
I've always kind of said that all the brewers are friends, but once it's the distributors that go at each other's throat.
Oh, yeah. It could be.
I guess, it's all competition, but like out here in Washougal, when 5440 came up, and then there's a couple other guys planning on opening. I think since we're not really rural, but I would say the more exposure out here, the better for the beer scene in general.
Right.
Tap rooms and all that. I think it's gonna do better for all of us because as more people we can draw out of Portland and up from Bend and then even Vancouver out this way. It's about 10 miles, but it's definitely growing, and we're seeing a lot more since when we opened. A lot more craft beer drinkers and the crowd in general. So
nice.
It's competition, but in a way, it's still growing. So it's not a bad thing.
And next, we're going to hear from Matt Linscomb from Fremont in Seattle.
This is the interview that hasn't even aired yet, so this is a preview of that one. When you decided to start the brewery, the economy was in shambles.
Yeah.
So what made you think it was the right time to do that?
It's really the most exciting time to jump into something new is when no one else is doing it. So that to me is fun. I'd rather be fording uncharted rivers than joining the crew the throng that's running across that one river. It's kind of what's happening now. You see,
yeah.
And it's just insane because the model's been proven enough. It's just you can have a lot more confidence that you're going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But that was part of the reason. The other part of the reason really is still true to this day, which is I honestly just love what I do. I love being a part of the craft brewing community and making beer and building this company. And there is no right time, there is no wrong time to start a company with a good idea. Mm-hmm. You just need to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
that said,
mm-hmm.
there are times that are easier and harder.
Sure.
So that also said,
right.
It was a horridly awful time to start a company.
Sure.
From the perspective of liquidity and
mm-hmm.
capital markets and credit. So we have no money. We're not wealthy people. We had $10,000. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And all my investors went away.
Yeah.
Because the market crashed. And I couldn't get a credit card. Couldn't get anything. So, and that was the situation for the first almost 4 years of this company. Was we had no credit.
Right.
Zero credit. I was able to get a credit card with $5,000, and we were, generating a couple million in revenue with no debt.
Really?
And I still couldn't get the one offer I got, and I'll say the name because they deserve to have this kind of ignominy. Was Chase Bank.
Really?
We were doing our business with them, and I asked them for a line of credit, $50,000. Not much.
Yeah.
I'm depositing, $70,000 a week with no debt in my company name. I own all this equipment free and clear, and I asked them for a line of credit to see where we can go. And they come back after asking me, to show them all my financial information, my personal financial information, which is an awful thing to have to do, but you do it for business. And they made me this deal. For 8% interest, they would give me a $50,000 line of credit. But to secure it, I'd have to put $50,000 in cash in a new Chase checking account at 0% interest, and they would hold that the entire life of the company. And it was one of those things like, now, one of us is being funny or one of us is being stupid. I feel neither funny nor stupid right now.
Yeah.
So you're funny and dumb. That's just bad in every way. And they were dead serious about that's their best offer.
Wow.
And that's what it was like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a terrible time to start a company from that perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah.
There's another interview that we haven't aired yet that's coming up actually next week. One of the craft brew pioneers in the country and definitely in Washington is Mike Hall.
Some people complain about rotating taps, but then I say, well, look at it. How could we support how many brewers you got in Warsaw?
Almost 300.
300?
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to support 300 brewers if you don't rotate your taps?
Yeah.
You got to rotate your taps.
Yeah.
We just want to be in the rotation.
Yeah, exactly. 5, 6, 10 down the road, but it's definitely.
So I think it's the savior of the industry, the rotating tap, and we shouldn't be complaining about it. It's only if you want to be kind of piggy and become a big brewer, where you complain about a rotating tap. How are you going to build? One guy would say, how am I going to build any brand equity if you won't keep my tap on? I say, well, maybe it's time for someone else to be the most popular beer on the bar.
Yeah. If your beer is good, people will wait or look for it, or that's, again, we were talking earlier, it's about, making good beer.
I don't, even with the 300, 280, 300 brewers we have, I don't know very many that aren't brewing as near capacity. Just selling everything they can make.
Exactly, and a lot of them, a year or two after opening, are expanding. So they're selling beer somewhere. Their tap room or something.
Yeah, and some of them are really, really expanding and going interstate.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, just anathema to the local beer question.
Right.
You start selling beer 3 or 4 states away, much less across the country, you've just kind of lost sight of what the hell we're doing here. And you're just taking food from the mouths of the babes that have their brewery in those states. Like we, in Washington, I think about half the beer is out-of-state beer. I think, isn't that a shame?
Yeah.
That we have wonderful beer in Washington, yet there are people still buying Oregon beer and California beer, thinking it's better by saying, well, you should do a blind tasting.
Yeah.
Then you tell me if you can pick out the better beer. Chances are it's going to be a Washington beer.
Probably.
Just because it's fresher.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's not going to be an English beer.
Yeah.
Or a German beer.
Probably not. So, what prompted the move to Seattle when you moved in, was it 95?
Well, when I started over there in Eastern Washington, my thought was, if I brew this kind of wonderful beer you can't get it anywhere, the world will beat a path to my door. Unfortunately, they didn't. So I found myself driving to Seattle every week in an old step van, bringing beer to Seattle where the market was. So.
And you're doing that to Spokane too earlier, right?
Yeah. So when the opportunity came to build something in Seattle, I jumped at it, and it's been a good move. We started over on the east side, which is really more like California than anything.
Okay.
And it was even more fun to move over to the Seattle side, where I think that percentage of people paying attention is quite a bit higher.
Okay, yeah. So, do you find it interesting that that your original 12 barrel has been sold several times to start new breweries? Your 12 barrel equipment, yeah.
No, that's not unusual.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking to start up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you see a guy that comes and he's obviously got a lot of money up front, and you say, well, must be his dad.
Yeah.
Because trying to make the economic argument for a small brewery is pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
But most guys are scrounging around trying to get something going, and that's kind of great. You know, here's some equipment we don't need anymore, and let someone else get started with it. We've always felt better to get along and share and help each other, because the more brewers, the better. And some might say, well, that's up to a point, but we haven't really hit that point yet. It seems it just keeps on going, and many brewers gives us quite a bit more creativity and interest, and so far it's really been a good thing to have. And that's the beauty of the local beer industry, is that typically everyone's pretty friendly and works together and would help out. If you had a problem, you needed a yeast strain or a box of hops you didn't have, more often than not, the guy down the street's going to loan it to you.
And now, Hop Nation in Yakima.
So, why don't you give us a little background on how you got into brewing?
Okay, well, it's kind of a long story, and I've bounced around a lot of places. But basically, when I left grad school from Ohio, I started at Coors in Colorado in yeast research and development. And while I was there, I was able to work with such guys as John Brewster and Keith Villa, the guys that are on the Blue Moon commercials.
Okay.
And it was a temporary position, so I basically kind of bounced around at Coors a little bit. So I did yeast research and development for a couple of years, then I did quality assurance and quality control for Coors as well. So I kind of got my feet wet in the science side of how to start a brewery, how to be a brewery.
Okay.
And it all really starts with quality.
Mm-hmm.
So we started there, and then I kind of bounced around a little bit. Went over to I brewed sake for about 3 years. Hakushika sake is like the Coors of Japan. They picked Golden, Colorado as their area just simply because they had the best water they could find.
Okay.
So I bounced from there. I came up to Washington, worked for Burt Grant's, which was the first brew pub post-Prohibition. They're no longer in business. As that business was owned by Simpson Lane at the time, they kind of gave me an option. They said, well, you can stick with Burt Grant's, which doesn't look like it's doing so hot, or you can come with us and make some wine. So I decided to branch off, and being a scientist, I like to try different things. So I moved over to the wine side. Made wine for about 10 years, fell in love with a girl down in California and moved to California, and then ended up, I was doing a little bit of wine science down there, and just ended up, Lagunitas was in desperate need of a quality control guy, so I ended up over at Lagunitas.
All these interviews were great. This one is from Airways Brewing. If you're going in doing the same thing everybody else is, it's probably a lot harder to find that shelf space or tap handle.
Yeah, because, you come in and say, I have an IPA, and it's like, okay, so you're one of 200 IPAs. Barry, what makes you special?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, you have to have either great marketing or great branding to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you've gone into an area that, hey, this area is growing and it doesn't have a brewery, and retail is so critical for small breweries. I see, I was just at a brewery over the weekend that remodeled, and I walked in, and it sounded like they had created this really big retail space. And I walked in, and they must have had like 8 seats in their tap room. And I'm thinking, how are you going to make any money?
Right.
You either are a retail brewery with some production, or you're a production brewery. And if you're a production brewery, you have to be big. I mean, 15 barrels 10 barrels minimum. I would say 15, even 30, as far as system size. And you have to crank out a lot of beer just to make the same money. I mean, 4 or 5 times as much beer just to make the same money that you do in your tap room.
Oh, yeah.
So I just didn't get it. I saw this small brewery, I just didn't get it, and thought, how are you going to make money with this little tiny tap room?
Right.
And so, there are still ways, I think, to find your place.
Right.
And the retail is definitely one of those ways.
Yeah, definitely. That we've heard that from other breweries too. And one that we had talked to that realized, almost the minute they opened, that their tap room was too small, so they were already looking to expand it. And right there,
which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it's a great thing to if you've got the space. It's a great thing to realize that you've got that demand.
Yeah, that is a big thing. I went to another one that has a huge tap room, and it was not very very full. They were recently opened, so I'll give them that for to start with. But still, it's going to be tough to fill that. It is, and
it's rare that you open your doors and you're full from the beginning. I mean, when we opened here, South area, doesn't have a lot of breweries down here. It is a bit of a different market. It did take a while to build our business up, and then the same with the second location. Took about 2 years to really flourish. We had a lot of people coming in the beginning going, what do you have that's domestic? Mm. And my wife would laugh, and she goes, all of our beer is domestic. It's made right up the street. And just educating people on this is what different beer is like.
Right.
And kind of figuring out what people's tastes were. But, and then also having facilities that matched the area. I was just up in Bellingham and going to an established brewery's tasting room, and almost empty, but they had amazing beer. Mm-hmm. And then went to another brewery that has so-so beer, and their facility was packed.
Yeah.
Because it's just the vibe of the place was definitely more. It was younger. Mm-hmm. It just felt better. It's where I actually wanted to be. I suddenly went, you know what? The beer here is not as good, but I really would prefer to be here.
And next up, American Brewing.
So let's talk a little bit about you.
Cool.
You are the head brewer at American now.
Yeah, the new head brewer at American.
And what were you doing before that?
So I worked for Mac & Jocks. I was a production brewer for them for about 3 years. And that's just sheerly volume. They gave me my start, so I have a lot of respect for them. But we're putting out a lot of beer, and I wanted to take that and put it into kind of use the knowledge base that I had to expand it into something bigger.
So you're coming in, you're taking over for Skip, who had created all these brews at American. So are you going to be tweaking any of those? You're going to be, creating your new stuff? What are you going to be doing?
Yeah, so a little bit of all of the above. I mean, Skip is a great guy. My hope is to kind of continue on his legacy while starting some of my own. So all the mainstays that everybody loved that Skip created are going to stay right in place. I changed a few things that will improve our consistency a little bit better and definitely bump up our output. And then right now, actually pouring here today is my first original recipe where it came out with the Saison, which is going to be a standalone for our summer. Nice, easy drinking, 5% Saison, a little bit lemony esters. Finishes just slightly tart. But that's also going to be the base beer to start our new sour program.
Oh, okay, great.
So I'm going to put that in some Cabernet barrels and with a little bit of Brett, and probably be ready for next year.
Nice.
And I have a companion beer that's going to be coming out probably in the fall, which I'll put in some wine barrels with some lacto, and then we can do all sorts of permutations with blending and stuff like that.
Nice. So while working at Mac & Jacks, did you had aspirations to do new things? So when this came along, obviously this was because there you were just cranking out the beer that they already had.
Yeah, Mac & Jacks is really good at producing one product as good as they can, and I had some other ideas that I wanted to go into. I saw this opportunity come up, and I just went for it and got it. And so, I'm really excited to be able to get in kind of at the ground level with this new brewery and grow it from there.
Yeah. So, had you worked in breweries before Mac and Jack's, or was that your first?
No, Mac and Jack's was my first. I started out slinging kegs with them, worked my way up through the ranks pretty quickly, became their new brewer trainer by the end there.
This is Jack, one of the owners of Aslan Brewing in Bellingham.
Give us, you're the owner, right?
Yes, I am one of a few, but yeah, the principal owner.
Okay,
yeah.
And you're only 26?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, so 26. How do you get into beer?
It was friends. It was the right time. I fell in love with beer in Prague. I lived there when I was studying abroad in college for about 4 months, and was so intrigued with the differences of all the yellow beer that they were pouring, because they could have 20 beers on tap, but they all look the same, and to the average untrained tongue taste the same. So it became my mission to understand why they have 20 on tap. There are differences, and so that was where it all started, my interest of beer. And then I met Frank, who's our head brewer, and my business know-how mixed with his brewing know-how, and it's history from there. Yeah.
Cool. Where's the name come from for the brewery?
Aslan. Yeah, I made it a point to let Frank choose the name, and so him and I founded Aslan. And when it came to filling out the LLC paperwork, we had to choose a name right away. That would last for years and years. So. All the breweries in town, there was Chuckanut, there's Colshan, there's Boundary Bay. These are regional geographic names that identify local features of our land. And I just wanted something different, something international, something that wasn't confined to a certain region or a geographical location. So we started playing around with other languages, and doing things like the Greek god of beer to the Roman god of fermentation to the barley god. I mean, we were doing everything, and it sounds pretty religious, but it just was kind of our idea that this was the king of the jungle, and that's kind of where we ran into the lion. And Aslan means lion in Turkish and a few other languages over there, so we ran with it. It's kind of a great talking point. People love bringing up Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe, C.S. Lewis, but the best thing is I'm hearing it less and less every day, and it's now becoming its own identity. Right. Lions are fierce, prideful, top of the food chain, and that's kind of our goal. Okay. We wouldn't brew beer unless we were trying to brew the best. So, okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
And now we have Republic Brewing in Republic.
What made you want to open the brewery to begin with?
We both came back to Republic where we were raised, and we both had jobs that we weren't really particularly thrilled with. And so we figured that, it's about time that we started doing something we wanted to do, and beer was something that I really wanted to do. And so we've been kicking the idea around for probably
5 years?
5 years prior to opening the brewery, and finally we just decided we don't do it now, we probably never will.
2011, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that the community really needed a spot, like a place to gather, and that growing up here when we moved back, it was just kind of, we wanted that place and it didn't exist, and we wanted good beer, and so it was, I would say it was like two parts. We were passionate about beer, and then also we were passionate about our community, and we just wanted to do something that showcased our hometown.
That makes sense. And 2011, not exactly the best economic time, so how did you guys put together funding to do that?
We started with a tiny brewing system and a lot of help from friends. And no funding.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way. So what size system are you brewing on now?
We're still on a 2-barrel system.
Okay.
So we do a lot of small batches, a lot of hours.
So about how many barrels do you do a year?
We probably pushing around 400 barrels a year.
Oh, really? You are doing a lot of batches.
Yeah. We every brew day is at least 2 batches, and we're gonna switch this year. Actually, we start doing 3 batches every day. We're gonna get a little more fermenting capacity and try and push out a little more beer on our small systems.
Okay. In our last interview is it was our longest interview, and it was with the husband and wife team, Mari and Will Kemper. Again, pioneers in the craft brew industry. Very nice people from Chuckanuck Brewery in Bellingham.
Anyways, that was a major coup. We never in our, we never thought that we'd get that far.
These are all your recipes?
Oh, yeah. We've been brewing these beers, you have to remember, since 1984. They've been perfected that long.
So basically, are these other places that you had worked, are they brewing?
He made those beers.
So they might be similar to?
They might be similar. So
not all of them.
You set up the facility and the recipe, but manufacturing beer is like cooking.
Okay.
In other words, you can understand the ingredients, you can work with it, but if you have to understand the process, the fermentation science that's going on, what's the nature of that. So yeah, you have the recipe.
And the engineering.
But yeah, the whole thing. And actually that's a key thing, the engineering. So our approach really is, besides not so much involved with the biology, chemistry, it's the engineering. It's the overview of it. So if you can understand the overview, then you have, then you can tend to control what goes on in the midst of that.
Right.
So there's terrific attention paid to temperatures, time, all the things that are so important in the chemical processing that's taking place, and the actual processing, the moving from one tank to the next and that kind of stuff. And, and all the cleaning and that kind of thing. So, but that really, it's not that, I don't think when he did Hands Across America, they were doing lagers, really.
Beers across
America. They weren't doing lagers. They were doing ales. They were doing amber ales and stouts and porters and, more like that.
Because the
American
business was set
beers.
up to really work that, similar to today.
Yeah. So, but when he went to Sierra Madre Brewing Company in Mexico, he did lager beers. When he went to Taps, it's called, in Istanbul, Turkey, he did those kind of beers. The lager beers were important to the mix in those different breweries.
Yeah, that's, we're talking about setting
and
up.
Dock Street. Dock Street was huge. People even today remember the Märzen that Will brewed. And they just brewed his Helles over there in Philadelphia for Philadelphia Beer Week. They got Will's recipe for the Helles. People remember it. That was, what was that? That was 1990. People remember from 1990. So, and then all these years he's been perfecting it. So when we came back and that happened, it was like, wow, that's nice. People recognize it, So then what happened was, because the brew pub just couldn't just couldn't sell very much beer, we started doing more production. So we actually ended up being, instead of a brew pub, we're a production facility here, but our production room is very small. So we're getting to the point where we're totally cramped. We can't keep up with production, basically. We don't even have a salesperson that works with us because we can't supply as many places as they want.
The demand is crazy for us. So for us to have a salesperson that suggests you want to have more sales, we can't keep up with the demand. We can't even come close.
So you're at a
we're kind of at a stopgap right now.
You're at a good place.
We're at a good place, but
we gotta keep moving ahead.
Yeah.
But then after, so that was 2009. So then in 20, and I think we did the North American Beer Awards, and we actually won in 2009. I don't really remember. That's the one in Idaho.
Because 2008 we did so well. Okay, hey, this is fun.
No, it was 2009 2009 that we did the GABF, and I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2010.
We didn't do anything in 2008 because we were just
Right.
trying to figure out what we were doing in
Right.
2008. But then in 2010, we ended up winning more awards, and at the World Beer Cup, we won a gold for the Dunkel.
Wow.
That beer beat out the Germans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then
They were surprised. Huh?
What's that?
they were surprised and a little
Yeah,
disappointed.
well, but I'm sure they were. But the thing is, with brewers, we know so many German brewers too,
Yeah,
and they're it's like a camaraderie that we have.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful. We root for them, they root for us, and so
Yeah.
we're it's a part of the wonderful brewing scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. We would like to thank each and every one of the people that we met with over the past year
Yes, thank you.
for their time and allowing us to interview them, especially early on when we were just starting out. But everybody along the way has been great. So, thank you very much. And we'll be right back after a local music break from Whiskey Fever.
I met a girl, her name was Pearl. I thought, how beautiful a girl named Pearl. Are you the kind of girl that's gonna rock my world? 'Cause I'm a boy, my name is Roy, and you can come to my apartment sometime and watch Chico and the band and reruns of Roseanne. She said, I think fat people make better lovers, more body heat means less tangled covers. Oh, Pearl, I'm gonna rock your world. She rides her bike to open mic, where she sings about her cat named Steve and bats her pretty eyes so the guys won't leave. Oh, Pearl, you're gonna rock my world. I keep a picture of her in my head. She's fast asleep inside her boyfriend's bed. I wish that mother sucker just dropped dead so Pearl could be my girl. But I'm alone, no phone, no home, no girl, no world, no Pearl, no Pearl, no Pearl.
That was the Ballad of Pearl and Roy by Whiskey Fever. You can check them out at reverbnation.com/Whiskey Fever. If you want to have your music played on Northwest Brew Talk, contact us today.
And we're going to try our second and final beer tonight. It's from Three Magnets Brewing out of Olympia, Washington. They got a cool story, and they got a great piece of artwork in their facility that we talk about in the upcoming book, Washington Beer. But this is their first anniversary ale, which we thought would be apropos to go along with our first anniversary show.
Three Magnets, as Mike said, is located in Olympia. They're open 7 days a week. They have an all-ages dining area and a 21 and older bar area. The first anniversary ale is a blend of bourbon barrel-aged Old Skook barley wine and port barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stout. This ABV is 11.2%, 45 IBUs, and an untapped rating of 4.25, one of the higher untapped ratings that we've tried.
Wow, 4.25. Yeah, when I picked this up at the bottle shop, they said that they loved the Three Magnets and they thought this beer was great. Very dark.
Smells good.
Very dark. This is like, can't see through this one. It is definitely bourbon-aged barrel one.
Oh, yeah.
And we knew that. And we're not, nothing against them. We're not huge fans of that. I've done many shots in my life. And usually it's a shot, it goes down. But there's a lot of chocolate flavor in that.
Yeah, yep. You can definitely taste the different flavors. It's very nice.
Yeah, but this is, actually, that's not bad. That aftertaste, it's like the chocolate coats your mouth.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not bad. And we wanted a special beer for the show here, and this was definitely it, especially since it was their first anniversary. And this is a little thing on the back says I got a little story about Three Magnets, talking about Sir Ebenezer Howard. You might want to check that out. But this is very cool. I'm going to try that again. Once you get past the very strong initial taste of the bourbon, that other flavor just like coats your mouth. Mm-hmm. That is it's pretty interesting. But they opened in 2014, so that's pretty cool.
I want you to give me fresh beer. You serious? Now!
This week's fresh beer is from Ice Harbor Brewing Company. Now on tap is their 2015 Imperial Porter. Robust and rich with mild roast, caramel, toffee, and licorice flavors. A higher alcohol profile and a moderate citrus hop character combined with the richness to give the beer a balanced and complex flavor. ABV 8.7% and 35 IBUs.
All right. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Northwest Brew Talk.
Make sure you tune in next week when we chat with Mike Hale.
Episode 50 has been produced by me with editing help from Michelle Rizzo.
If you want to contact us, you can email us at nwbrewtalk@gmail.com or on Twitter at nwbrewtalk.
Until next time, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
Stay hopping, my friends.